I'm definitely someone who loves a challenge. I love to throw myself in the deep end. For a long time I have wanted to see if I could do the short course racing and just see how I stack up against those top girls on the ITU circuit, and this is going to give me the opportunity to kind of find out. I just want to see how I fare against them and really kind of give it my all. Super League is like just kind of rocketing the sport into the future. Like it's bringing crowds in that maybe we haven't had before. Like triathlon is such a big sport but not really as watched as I think it should be, and I think Super League is doing that. It's making it exciting. There's so much going on, it's so brutal, everything's fast and quick moving that it's something that I think in the future we could have big crowds watching it and actually enjoying and supporting triathlon. I'd say one thing's for sure, I'm just not a typical athlete. I'm not that normal. I've come from a swim background, come into triathlon, went straight to long course, feel I have the potential to be good at the short course. So I'm doing it all backwards in a weird way, but I do feel like from doing the long course, I've just got such a big engine that I can apply to what I'm doing. And my swim background means that there is speed in there that I can kind of tap onto and build. So I feel like I have all the components to be good at short course, I just haven't put them all together in the right order yet.
Typical training week at the moment is swimming most mornings, so I'm really fortunate at the moment to be swimming at the London Aquatic Centre, obviously where the Arena Games are going to take place, so that's quite nice. It feels like a little home advantage. I'm kind of doing around 5 kilometres in the pool most mornings. After that, kind of come home, have some breakfast, chill out a bit, and then I'll either be doing a bike or run session. So I normally have one key run or one key bike a day, and then we'll do kind of some smaller strength stuff around that. So at the moment, my weekly volume is probably around 20 hours, which is actually a lot lower than normal. When I'm doing like my full long distance training, I'd be up more like 30 hours a week. But my intensity of the training is just way higher at the moment, so it's almost a completely different style of training. I'm kind of probably a bit more different on the long course scene, that I do quite a bit of intensity in my training, but I've obviously now added in a lot more. As a swimmer, when I used to do that, a lot of my training was quite intense, so I do feel like I respond pretty well to it. But I definitely had about a 3-week period where I was just super fatigued adapting to that level of intensity. But luckily, I feel like I'm out the other side of that now.
We've kind of mixed things up a little bit. So normally I would do a track workout that is between like 5 and 8 1K efforts, and then I do some mile efforts after that. Whereas I've just completely switched that up and I've been doing like 400-meter efforts where I'm just really trying to get that turnover speed. I still feel like I need a hell of a lot of practice on the curved treadmill, so I have like 2 weeks to try and nail that. It's just a completely different skill to running outside at speed. It's trying to manage the treadmill, so I still need a bit of work on that. In terms of the swimming, we've kind of been switching things up again. Like I always used to do quite a lot of intensity in the swim, but we've kind of been trying to do like a 200 all-out effort, then running down to the other end of the pool and then doing like a max effort sprint back up the pool. So we're just switching things up a little bit. I also plan, now that I'm back from my race in Miami, to do some kind of really short, sharp bike run brick sessions. I'm quite lucky in the Pain Cave as well that we have the endless pool, so we could do some quite fun brick sessions in here where we're doing really short swim, bike, run and a few rounds. The short course racing and the long course racing are like the two different ends of the spectrum of triathlon. Like the short course is just brutal pain that you're almost on your limit of tolerating, whereas on the long course you're like in that just annoyingly uncomfortable zone all day long. That's the nice thing about the Arena Games, is that the more pain in theory you put yourself through, the faster it should be over. So I do enjoy kind of putting myself through that kind of pain, and in my training I prefer those kind of sessions. Like I almost get a little bit nervous for those sessions, but then feel more satisfied at the end rather than just doing a really long run, for example. I enjoy the session, but at the end of it, because it was maybe easier in the amount of pain, I don't feel as satisfied at the end. Well, I've completed all of the levels that exist on Zwift at the moment, so I'm a level 50 Zwifter, but I've been using Zwift since about 2015, so I was one of the early riders on there. It's definitely transformed my training. Like, I always was someone who loved indoor training. I think because I was a swimmer and I was just used to following the black line in my training, I was used to kind of that monotonous training. So I didn't mind doing turbos inside, running on the treadmill, but then when I found Zwift, it was just like this whole new world that can actually make indoor training more fun, more structured, a bit more social. It was just really exciting to have something like that where I could actually meet up with my friends in a virtual world and ride. So yeah, it's been really cool. Oh, I'm not sure if it's put confidence into me kind of racing some of the girls on Zwift. I think there's kind of, until you race in real life together, you still don't really know where you stack up. So I think that was the nice thing about racing in Miami, was it kind of validated that everything I've been doing on Zwift is real, it's working and it's paying off. So hopefully that will give me a bit more confidence going into the race. I think it's definitely going to help being quite an experienced Zwifter coming into the Arena Games, because whilst the course I don't think is kind of too technical, there's not many climbs, I just know that if you get dropped out of a group, you're out, like you're never getting back on. So it's so important, even if you're kind of just hanging on, to stay in a group. So I want to make sure that I'm getting on the bike and I'm in a group of girls and I'm kind of hanging on, and you don't want to be at the front of the group because you have to do so much more work. So it's kind of finding that perfect position to sit in, which is definitely going to be a big factor, especially when we're going flat out on the swim and the run. So on the bike, it's about being in the best position, but hopefully doing the least amount of work at the same time. Yeah, I think it's the future, is to have the mix of real life and virtual racing. And obviously during most of last year there really wasn't much real life racing going on, so Zwift racing was all I had, and I still did get that kind of adrenaline buzz and excitement from it. So to actually combine the two, I think is really cool, and it pretty much is the future of this sport, I think. So obviously my background is an elite level swimmer before I came into triathlon, and my best event in the pool was the 1500 metre freestyle, which took me around 16 minutes. So I actually feel like in the Arena Games each round could be about 16 minutes in length. So it could potentially kind of play into my kind of perfect zone of amount of work. So I think in terms of running, like my 5K run time is probably outperforming in what that would predict my marathon time to be. Is just ridiculous, but because it's the same amount of time I would race in the pool for a 1500, I kind of seem to outperform over that 16-minute window of time. So I think that should put me in good stead for this event. I definitely like to think once we get to round 3, my endurance is going to kind of help me out against those other girls. Like I said, I am used to racing for over 8 hours, so I should be ready to go again on that 3rd round. And I actually remember one of my favourite events back when I was a swimmer was called the Skins event, where you would race a 50 metre all out and then the last swimmer would get eliminated, and you just keep doing that. And I was pretty good at that. I always could go a tiny bit faster each round, so who knows, I might improve on each round. That would be pretty cool. I came into triathlon, I went straight into the long course and had quite a lot of success relatively quickly, so I just kind of thought, you know what, that's what suits me. As a swimmer, I specialise more in the long distance, so I would do the 800 and 1500 metre in the pool, and then did the 5 and 10k open water. So that was an event that lasted 8 minutes to an event that lasted 2 hours, so I could fare pretty well over that whole amount of time. So looking at the Olympic distance, that's about 2 hours, the Ironman is 8 hours. So somewhere in that range of 8 minutes to 8 hours is where my peak performance is. I mean, I can't rule out Kona. I need to win that race, so I hope I can win it in the next few years, and then I could then focus on the short course for a while. Oh, I just love racing. Like, anyone who watches me race, I hope that you can see that even though I'm normally hurting, I'm loving what I'm doing. So I just love to go out there and kind of find where my limits are and just make sure that all the hard work that I do in training is kind of paying off on the race day. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the pro action.